Welcome to the deep dive. We got a really interesting question sent in about high standards.
Hmm.
You know, that line between when they really push us forward and, well, when they just feel heavy, like a lead weight.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tricky balance, isn't it? Striving for excellence, but without completely burning out.
Right.
And maybe a good word to frame this is fastidious.
Fastidious. Okay.
Yeah, it can mean someone who's super careful, very detail-oriented, which sounds good, right? High standards.
He's positive.
But it also carries this sense of being difficult to please, maybe even a bit obsessive about neatness or correctness.
Ah, I see. So there's a potential downside baked right in.
Precisely. You can see the tension there. When does carefulness become too much?
Okay, so that's our mission today, really. When do those high standards stop helping and maybe start hindering us?
And crucially, how can we keep those standards high but do it effectively without hitting a wall?
Because having high standards, wanting to do well, that's fundamentally a good thing. It's fulfilling.
Absolutely. The problem isn't usually the standard itself. It's more often the way we chase it.
How so?
Well, sometimes the pursuit becomes really inefficient, or it feels like this massive, steep hill to climb,
Like a sheer cliff face, almost. No obvious next step.
That's a great way to put it, that feeling of just staring up at something impossible.
Yeah, I think many people can relate to that feeling.
And that's where this idea of mental pacing comes in. It's quite important.
Mental pacing, like pacing yourself in a race.
Exactly like that. Think about physical exercise. You wouldn't try to sprint a whole marathon, right?
No, definitely not. You'd burn out fast.
Right. You pace yourself. You find a rhythm you can sustain. The same logic applies to these big, ambitious goals and high standards.
Okay, so find a sustainable rhythm mentally. What happens if you don't?
Well, you might end up, like the analogy we found, polishing a single spoon while the sink is overflowing with dirty dishes.
Okay, I know that feeling. Getting totally bogged down in one tiny, maybe insignificant detail.
Yes. And losing sight of the main thing you're trying to achieve. The big picture.
Why do we do that, though? Focus on the spoon.
It's interesting. Sometimes focusing intensely on that tiny imperfection can actually be a way to avoid the bigger, perhaps scarier main tasks.
Procrastination by perfectionism.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So the key is to consciously step back. Look at the whole kitchen, not just the spoon. Identify the main themes, the big goals.
That helps you make real progress rather than just spinning your wheels on details.
Exactly. But it's still easy to feel weighed down, isn't it? Especially if you're already tired or burnt out.
Definitely. Those high standards can feel like an extra burden then.
They can. But remember, feeling burnt out is like a warning light on your dashboard. It doesn't mean you should just, abandon the car.
Or abandon your standards.
Right. It's a signal to adjust your pace, maybe refuel, not to give up on the journey. I think Helen Keller put it well. She said, life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. And striving for high standards, that push for something better, that can absolutely be part of your daring adventure.
I like that framing. It's an adventure, not just a chore list.
Precisely. And on this adventure, it's also helpful to remember that, while perfection, it's probably not achievable.
You mean, even with our best effort, we might not get it absolutely perfect?
Probably not. Absolute flawlessness is rare, maybe non-existent, but getting closer to your ideal, that's still a huge win. That's progress.
That makes sense. It takes the pressure off a bit.
It does. And it's also interesting how our standards evolve. You push hard, achieve something, maybe rest, and then you look back and what felt like a super high standard before, now it just seems normal, like the baseline.
So your old high standard becomes just your standard that shows growth, right?
Absolutely. It's a clear sign you've moved forward, that your capabilities have expanded.
That ties into another quote, doesn't it? The Salvador Dali one.
Oh, yes, that's a great one, Dali said. Have no fear of perfection, you'll never reach it.
Which sounds maybe a bit negative at first, but
it's actually incredibly liberating. If you know you'll never reach absolute perfection, it frees you up to just do the work, to make progress.
Focus on getting better, not on some impossible ideal.
Exactly. It encourages the journey over the unattainable destination.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what's the main takeaway for listeners navigating their own high standards?
I think it's this. Those high standards are good. They're valuable drivers. Don't ditch them. But be smart about pursuing them. Build a sustainable path. That means pacing yourself mentally.
Right. The mental marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah. And focusing on the big picture, the main themes, not just the tiny details.
Don't just polish the spoon.
Don't just polish the spoon. And finally, accept that progress is the victory, not some mythical state of perfection.
Progress, not perfection. Got it.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening to mull over.
Oh.
Think back to a time when your own high standards felt really heavy, really overwhelming. Knowing what we've discussed today, how might applying that idea of mental pacing or focusing on the main themes change how you'd handle it next time?